we're back with WSJ Lunch Break. I'm Wendy Bounds. How does Bill Nye, the science guy, keep his home humming with little energy consumption? Well, we're going to ask him right now. Bill Nye, he's joining us right now from Los Angeles. Hi there, Bill.
Good afternoon.
I'm so happy to see you and your bow tie. I would hope you'd be wearing nothing less with us. Tell us a little bit about this home of yours in Southern California. About how big is it, how old is it, and then we're going to drill down to sort of the nitty-gritty of the technology there.
The house was built, in my understanding, in 1951. It's a Malinthan home, which was some guy who competed with, who designed these buildings that you might have heard of in Pasadena, where they're very distinctive, craftsman-style house. This one is somewhat more modest than those, but it's about, the house itself is about 1,200 square feet. That's it.
All right, 1,200 square feet, and you've done a lot to sort of retrofit it to be very energy efficient. A lot of people think you often have to start from scratch, but you've been doing you don't at all. Yeah. Let's just start with the color of the house, and then we'll sort of move over to the solar side of things and the insulation properties. The color of your house helps.
Yeah, well, it's pale. It's a pale color, a color that reflects sunlight. And here in the Mediterranean climate of Southern California, that's a big plus. You know, it gets to be, in Fahrenheit, it gets to be well over 100 degrees in the summertime here. I live like totally in the valley. That's like where I live.
Right.
And so like it gets really hot in the summertime. Anyway, so you want to keep the house cool that way. The other big thing for those of you, your listeners, your viewers, who for some reason do not read the journal every Friday.
Who are those?
There's a picture of my house where you see this big tree, a thing we call a camphor tree. In the spring, it smells like Vicks Vapor Rub. Anyway, it provides a lot of shade.
A lot of shade there.
That's a huge thing.
And coming from the exterior, you also, the sort of thermal envelope of your home, if you will, the shell of it, you've been working on that, sort of beefing up the insulation using everything from denim insulation to your windows. You're having insulated windows. Tell us about what you've done there.
So if those of you unfamiliar with denim insulation, a couple of companies have found a way to make the scraps from the blue jean factory. It doesn't have the formaldehyde, and it's treated with a phosphate, the kind of soap that rats and so on do not eat, and it doesn't burn. It doesn't burn. It doesn't. In fact, fiberglass insulation will melt. I've done this demonstration many times. Will melt under a torch, and this blue jean stuff does not. But all that will not burn, rather. That aside, that's just modern insulation. That's a good use of recycled or recovered materials. But the big investment, as you mentioned earlier, are the double pane, low emissivity glass windows. These windows in my house cost as much as a small car to put them in every wall, in every one of the windows. But you end up with a house that's much warmer in the winter and much cooler in the summer, using much less energy to run the air conditioner, heat pump.
And you're the science guy, Bill. I mean, people, when they go to shop for windows these days, they hear about solar heat gain coefficient, low E windows, the U factor, and they're like, wait, I just want windows. But the truth of the matter is that these coatings, these low E coatings that can be put on the windows can be beneficial no matter where you live, whether you're in a warm climate like you are or in a cold climate, just depending on how they build the windows.
Oh, yeah. And it's so competitive. I mean, I put these windows in going on 3 years ago. In the last 3 years, I think another half dozen companies have emerged. Insulation for the money, and the other thing is very important to me is they have to look good.
Right.
You don't want windows that don't look good.
Now
so I found them. And I threw money at the problem.
You threw money at them, and hopefully money's coming back into you in the form of energy savings. Now, you've got a solar hot water system, a photovoltaic system for your electricity. I want to talk, though, before we have to let you go, about your chili peppers. Tell us about these chili pepper pumps.
So I just stumbled on these things. I am not an expert on this deal, but it's a box about this big and about that thick. You mount it under the sink, and it's an electric pump. And I would say, as an engineer, just looking at it, it looks about the same size motor as you have in an electric drill. And so it pumps water. You turn on the, you press a very small button, very low voltage button. You can't get a shock from it. And it runs a pump so that it pushes hot water from the hot water side of your sink
over to the
backwards
to the cold. Yep, and it's
through the cold water side until the hot water shows up.
Yep. All right, Bill, we're going to have to leave it there. We're running out of time,
Okay.
but there's more from you online on WSJ.com. Bill Nye, the Science Guy. Thanks for being with us.
I have 3 chili peppers. Carry on. Good to talk to you.
All right, thanks so much.